What up, world? This is the GoalNet recording live here from outside of Chicago. And today's video is a deep dive on the 2021 Bauer Vapor Hyperlite Pro Goalie Pad. This is not a review. This is basically a deep dive into the specs and what's new on this pad. Tune back to the channel at a later date and you'll see some more videos pertaining to the glove and blocker, a comparison with the 2X, and a comparison with the ultrasonic line. So essentially this is the top of the line Pro pad. The 3X is the second price point, and what's kind of interesting with Bauer is I posted this on the Instagram page. The Islanders goaltender Sorokin was actually wearing the 3S and not the ultrasonic gear in the NHL this season. So I personally think that's super cool. I think it really highlights how good some of the lower price point gear has gotten. So just kind of make that distinction to explain Hyperlite versus 3X, but also essentially how solid a pad the 3X just might be as well. But we're here to talk Hyperlite today, so let's dive in. So to me, looking at the history of Bauer, which I'd call kind of the post-Odin history, the 2X pad I think was a huge turning point for them in terms of durability. And since Bauer has really refined and dialed in the durability of their Cortex skin, it seems like the gear has started to become kind of evolutionary since then because the core product is so good. It's time to go out and look at refining the other pieces of equipment. So one of the key new features on this pad will be the knee block. Very similar to what we saw on ultrasonic, the Stabilis slide. There's something in this pad called the Stabiliflex, and we will get to that in just a minute. But let's just kind of take a look overall at what Vapor is. So if you check out the pad on the right, you will see two of the key features that distinguish a Vapor from a Supreme pad. The Vapor pad is thinner than the Supreme pad, which makes it the lighter of the two within the family. And then secondly, you'll see that basically above the Vapor R through to the top binding or welt, as Bauer calls it, this is more of a round S shape versus the Supreme pad is more of a Z, as I call it, where it's all straight edges. So those are a couple of the key differentiators aesthetically for what the Vapor pad is. And the other key thing is Vapor is meant to be a softer, more flexible pad compared to the Supreme line. But one thing I think I noticed testing gear more than anything else is that flex is not a uniform thing. What brand A calls flexible, brand B might call stiff, and vice versa, believe it or not. So where I'm going with this is that 2X was I'd say a stiff to medium stiff by most other brand standards. But Hyperlite, by contrast, might be Bauer's first ever soft pad. And I think what's key when we're talking about soft is I think this pad's still going to have a rigid core. But for goalies looking for something softer than 2X, I think this is a phenomenal pad in that regard. Really hard to do the videos and post the flex, but if you check out the Instagram page, posted a pretty unique video showing how this pad flexes much more than any Bauer Odin product before it. And I think one of the other key points is that if you want Vapor but you think this is too soft, is that Bauer has a more robust customizer than they had last year. And there are 5 different stiffness options. So there's definitely an opportunity to tailor this pad to the exact flex profile you're looking for. Okay, so that said, of course, everybody's gonna want to see the flex. So I will try and show this over the video so you can see the boot. I mean, that is absolutely phenomenal how much flex. And then when we look at the side of the pad, you know, there is some flex above the knee, more so than I think Vapor, and definitely Vapor 2X, and definitely more so than ultrasonic, but that's a lot of weight. But if we just look at like pressing down on it, it's still pretty rigid. So the ultimate thing that no pad has perfectly accomplished yet, which like maybe Hyperlite is the first one to do it, is you want the pad very stiff, you know, so that it seals well. But then if you're a goalie that wants that kind of pad to feel like an extension of your leg, you want it to flex where you want it to flex. And believe it or not, when we talk about pad design, stiffness and seal and flex are all things that are generally fighting each other. So when we make a pad soft and comfortable, we generally sacrifice some seal. And then when we make a pad too stiff so it seals really well, we kind of lose the comfort and flexibility of wearing that pad. So I'm really amped up to try Hyperlite. It's like so hard to show in the video, but like this is taking a lot of pressure to bend it. You can probably hear me almost sounding like winded trying to like hold this giant iPad Pro and flex the pad all at the same time. So really interested to get this on the ice. Like I feel like it's a little bit of torsional flex, but nothing too crazy. And then I do like the pad to bend a little bit there as long as it's not too soft so that you'll get squeakers, which I doubt we're going to get from a Bauer pad. But again, can't wait to get these things on the ice tomorrow and dive more in. Let's jump forward to the Stabilis slide knee block. All right, so Bauer did some phenomenal marketing around the Stabilis slide, showing that there's basically almost like a right angle bracket inside the pad. And when I'm saying right angle bracket, I'm basically saying where it's gray on the knee block down across the knee cradle there, imagine an L in the middle of the pad. So half of the L is going right through the knee block, and then half of the L is coming across the back of the pad face. That is an L-shaped bracket inside the pad you can't see. So at Stabilis slide, that thing didn't give it all, and you were basically landing on a very rigid thing. I thought it was phenomenal, and I felt really connected, and I liked how the pad was stiff. I said this in my review, I kind of felt like I was riding high in those pads, which I feel like I really aided in my recovery. But that's not going to be for every goalie. And that's another thing really to give Bauer kudos to, being that both of their pads have the one-piece molded face and the printed graphics, no knee rolls. At first blush in a retail shop, if you're not the most educated of consumers, their lines may look sort of similar. But I definitely think that Bauer for 2021 between Ultrasonic and Hyperlite may have the most two distinctly different pads at retail. So let's keep that in mind as well, that like looks can be deceiving sometimes. So back to what's different. So this is called Stabilis Flex. This is not Stabilis Slide. And like the name kind of ensues, the purpose of Stabilis Flex is that this knee block flexes. So it has the rigid right angle bracket inside so that it should avoid over and under rotation, but it's designed just to give a little bit for the goalie that thinks that maybe the Stabilis Slide is too stiff. So if we take a look, it's basically one huge piece of monolithic knee block. We don't have the inner landing surface, the knee block, and then, the outer landing surface, the knee block, and then the inner landing surface. It's all one piece. And then you can see Bauer added some of the black parts there, which is like an anti-abrasion wear coating. So let's check it out. Let's see if it actually flexes. All right, so as you can see, this is that one-piece knee block, not the three separate segmented pieces we're used to seeing. And then in terms of flex, you can see that it moves a little out and a little bit in. So the same video on the Stabilis slide, which is the ultrasonic, you'd be pressing, and I'm pressing really lightly just to make the point, but like this knee block doesn't move, versus on Hyperlite, it is still rigid than a standard knee block, but not as rigid as the Stabilis slide. And one other key point is for any goalie that is not interested in this newest and latest, greatest technology and you want something more conservative, Bauer has you covered as well. If you go with a custom built pad, you can get a traditional knee block, both in a square and one with a 45-degree cutout. So the next key piece, which is brand new on Hyperlite compared to 2X Pro, and let's be clear, everything I'm showing in this video, the Stabilis slide knee block, is new. And next up is this new calf pillow or calf wedge. So the balance plate calf pillow is brand new for 2021. Hyperlite is the first pad to feature this technology, and it's pretty phenomenal. So if you checked out my ultrasonic review, one of the things I commented about with Stabilis slide is that I found that was so stiff. I actually felt like I was kind of riding high in the butterfly, and that actually enabled me to recover faster because I feel like I could get my edges into the ice more quickly. Essentially, my blade was kind of teed up to catch the ice faster. Well, what's kind of phenomenal is Bauer did that on purpose. And one of the things I found out in researching Hyperlite for this video is that Bauer did a ton of research about pressure and balance and weight in the butterfly. When I said did research, it's not like they put something in a goalie pad and asked a goalie to test it. They actually used computer software simulation to model and test things. And they're basically able to figure out that if they put a pillow of this size in this location of the goalie pad, it's actually going to better support the goalie and give him better balance in the butterfly, which should enable him to be kind of more in the right position more often, and then enable him to butterfly slide or her or recover faster because your leg is in the right position and your body is balanced. And that is this, if it's not clear, this padded piece right there inside the pad. And then from a landing standpoint, it is nice and plush and supple. So the ultrasonic had a smaller version of that, and most pads in the market today have some sort of pillow. Brian's Optic was maybe one of the first ones to kind of sneak that in. For a while, I think if you make the pillow incorrectly or don't attach it in a certain way, I actually think it's outside the NHL rules. So super cool to see a ton of innovation coming in that area that skirts the rules around what you can and can't do with a goalie pad, and then also makes something that's a tangible, better performance improvement for the goaltender wearing it. And in terms of new stuff I noticed on Hyperlite is the toe bridge. So you can get the option for a centered or offset toe bridge. So you can see this is more toward the inner edge of the pad. But one of the things I haven't been a fan of is the way Bauer has actually done the toe attachment in the last few years. They don't put a piece of HD foam in there. And the whole purpose of not having the foam there is to maximize the flex and the responsiveness in the toe. But they also kind of attach the toe plate back a bit more. And this one looks like it's more toward the front edge of the pad. So I'm really excited to try that, because on some of my other pads I actually went so far as to glue the toe piece down, because there used to be some extra slack right there. And I went as so far as to glue that down because I felt like I needed a little bit more of a rigid attachment point. So I'm really excited to see that Bauer changed that. It might sound super subtle to anybody that hasn't used this goalie pad, but I've gotten a few DMs where people caught my mod or used the pad and asked me if I noticed the toe felt different. So it's not to say it's bad, it's just it's different. So I think Bauer's kind of gone more in the way of tradition with this pad as well. So very excited to see how that toe bridge feels and if I notice the difference, or maybe it's one of those things that's always been in my head. So, it's one of the things, I'm as transparent as I can be in these reviews. Sometimes you think something will make a difference and it doesn't. So that's why you got to check into the review later versus the deep dive that we do now. And I think the only other key thing to note in this video is I ordered my Bauer gear pretty close to stock. I went with the Hyperlite Flex this year. But one thing I do is I always get the open knee blocks. So the standard Hyperlite will have some Velcro there, so that if you want to do the Velcro across the knee like so, very easy to do that. So I think we've gotten all of the key new features of this pad out of the way, being the balance plate calf pillow, the updated Hyperlite Flex, as well as the Stabiliflex knee block. A couple of the other key points just to mention, this being a vapor pad. This does have the flat boot angle. So this boot, as you can see right there, when I say flat, you can see how this basically kind of goes across the ground and straight up. Bauer actually tweaked that by about 10 degrees. So it used to be 100 on the 2X Pro. It's 110 now. That's designed to sit more naturally on your leg as a result. And then of course, like all Bauer gear for the last few years, the skin of the pad is the one-piece molded design, and this does have the Cortex Plus skin, so it's the more durable version of Bauer's skin that they've come out with. So you can expect that this is probably going to be a very fast sliding pad. I find that Bauer on clean ice is the fastest sliding pad in the market right now. These will have the Tune Fit 2.0 pad, as well as the Tune Fit Connect strap, which is basically more commonly known as a professor strap. You'll get the Aerolite calf wraps as well, so a lot of the standard Bauer technology is on here. Very excited to try the updated professor strap as well. I didn't feel that the one in the ultrasonic was great, so very curious to try the. And last but not least, the core of this pad will be Rebound Boost Core technology with Bauer's curve in the thigh rise, so expect rockets off the pad. So thanks for tuning in. If you're watching this on YouTube, please hit the subscribe button down below. Check back for more Hyperlite content. This is the GoalNet sign.